He's best known for his roles in the Royal Family, remember that? Death in Paradise. His next project, actor Ralf Little is teaming up with fellow comedian Will Mellor.
Now, they met on the set of the naughty sitcom Two Pints of Lager and a Packet of Crisps. More than 20 years later, they're still friends, and they're touring the UK with their podcast, which has been inspired by the show. Here's a taster of what they chat about.
There's definitely a thing where I think, again, in this country, we're like, if you're having a crisis or something's really terrible, maybe you need to get some therapy. But actually, what you're talking about is going, things are all right, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
But actually, somebody once said to me, it's a little bit like, well, sometimes you go to the gym, even when you're in good shape. And it's just no reason to view it any differently than that.
That's a good way of
Mate,
looking at it.
so full disclosure to anyone watching this, just before we started this, because we knew we were going to talk about BetterHelp because we were doing the you said to me, yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to use it because I'm going to go and see someone. And I hope this isn't a patronising thing. I'm so proud of you. I think that's amazing.
And Ralph's here.
Moment.
Do you want to explain? What are you talking about?
I'm just amazed that you actually managed to find a clip that was suitable for broadcast. Congratulations on that. I think that was us talking about men's mental health and an app that you can use to find a therapist. It was an unusually sensible clip that you actually managed to find. So thank you for that. It makes it sound incredibly thoughtful and in a way that's possibly not entirely accurate. But I'm glad you did it.
It's nice to have variety in a podcast, though, isn't it?
Well, that actually is kind of what we just... Look, the podcast started because me and Will sat down. Well, it was actually Will's wife said, whenever you two get together, you know, you just seem to have a lot of fun. You make each other laugh. You make people around you laugh. You should just do a podcast. And we didn't really think anyone would care or listen. So we just started doing it. And imagine our surprise when it turned out millions of people listened. But what we think is one of the sort of strengths of it is that we will... Look, there's a lot of sort of slightly immature jokes like two guys in a pub making each other laugh, but we will talk about that kind of stuff as well, so it's nice to have that kind of variety.
Have you always had that kind of relationship once you established that you were each other's kind of people?
Yeah, actually, I think that's... I mean, we've always made each other laugh, and we've always just had that kind of... that ability to be silly and then serious, but we got old. We got old, right? So we still do the stuff...
How old are you?
I'm 44, just turned 44.
So you're younger than me, so you're saying I'm old.
Oh, well, look, we're all... Old Father Time gets to us all. And Will, I think, he's just had a birthday, and I think he's about 56 now.
That is so not true.
No, it's not true.
That is so not true. I hope he's watching.
I'm going to make that fact now. Yes, of course. I mean, but the live show, which, again, similarly, we went, maybe we should take this on tour. People seem to listen to it, and we'll just do a stage version of it. It's sort of 2 hours of us just being at our naughtiest and silliest. And again, imagine our surprise when tickets sold very well and people started wanting to come and see it.
Do you remember, Ralph, the first time you met? Literally the first time you encounter one another?
Yes, I did tell that story on the podcast, and again, it's not broadcastable because Will's a heathen. But I do remember the first time we met. Although...
Was it an audition?
We actually met doing... we actually met when we walked in to start doing Two Pints together. But what we had both forgotten was that we'd met a few years earlier, maybe 4 or 5 years earlier, when Will was doing Hollyoaks. So I'd have been about 17, and Will was probably 20, 21, something like that. And I had a friend who was also in Hollyoaks who I'd grown up with. And there was a big party, I think it was a Halloween party, over at the Hollyoaks house, because all the guys and the girls used to live together when they were filming. And so my mate who was in Hollyoaks said, let's go over there, I'm in the show, we'll go and we'll have the party. And we went as, me and my mate went as Batman and Robin, because it was a fancy dress. It would have been weird if it wasn't. So we just fought some crime on the way there and just, and Will was dressed as a vampire from Interview with a Vampire. And, I recognised him and we sort of met very, very briefly. But then the Men in Black, Will Smith Men in Black came on. And we had a few drinks, and for some reason, me and Will both knew the dance to Men in Black. So 4 years before we actually did Two Pints, there was just this one weird moment where me and Will were standing next to each other doing the full Will Smith dance to Men in Black. And we only remembered it a few years later and went, what a weird way to first meet each other.
Do you still remember the dance?
Do you know what? We do still remember the dance. Maybe we should pull it out in the Manchester stage show tonight.
Yeah, somebody somewhere is going to be thinking exactly that.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's a possibility.
Because you've said you can do it now.
Yeah, we'll see what we've got.
Is there audience? Do you involve the audience?
Yeah, loads. So we thought, well, what we could do is just have me and him just doing the podcast, just sitting in 2 chairs and chatting. And obviously that's sort of the basis of it, but we wanted to make it sort of more of a show, more of a bit of a spectacle. So there's a few twists and turns, a few surprises in there, a few little bits of stagecraft, but we get the audience really involved and sort of play games with them and ask for their stories and then sort of chat about them and whatever. And again, we've been incredibly surprised. The last time we went on tour, it sort of pretty much sold out, and this year it's we've got Manchester tonight, Newcastle tomorrow is going to be a big one, and then we're in Scarborough next Saturday, and Scunthorpe next Sunday.
So you've got a lot of travelling to do. But I've got to talk to you about the ultimate travel.
Yeah.
Death in Paradise.
Yeah, it's not.
Which you've left. You've moved away.
I have left. Yeah.
What I'm interested in is obviously what next. How do you walk away from that? But when you and Will, as your careers kind of melded, kind of winded along.
Yeah.
When you kind of had jobs like that, I mean, that's seen as the ultimate job, isn't it? In terms of, Guadeloupe.
It was always, this last series was always going to be my last series. I talked with the BBC and with Red Planet, the production company, and we all agreed that it just felt, if it was in my heart, like if it was just a heart decision, I'd have wanted to do it for 20 more years. But just for the show and for Neville's my character Neville, it just sort of felt like his story was, it deserved to be sort of finished, and his sort of journey was sort of deserved to be completed, and he deserved a nice happy ending, and so it just felt right.
We're out of time, but it would be wrong not to say the Royle family, which probably people still talk to you about it. If you see it, if you catch it now, it just still absolutely works.
Yeah. Well,
it's just genius. It remains genius. Whenever you see it.
I walked into the building today, and the young lad, Will, who's looking after us for your show, he's like, I was watching the Royle Family last night, and I was thinking, you've got to be like 20 years old. We made it way before you were born, but he watched it, still holds up.
It absolutely works.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of genius.
Yeah, it was. What an amazing thing for a 17-year-old boy to be a part of. I was a very lucky guy.
Thank you so much for getting up early for us. You were on stage tonight. So
I am
indeed.
nice to see you very much. See you out there, guys.
The latest episode of 2 Pints with Will and Ralf is out now. April Fool's live tour, of course, as you heard about it, runs until the 28th of April.